Greetings, this is the Ghetto Free Press, and I'm joined by Boss Rhynes. We're on here with Dr. Robinson, and he's going to chat with you for a while and talk to you. Go ahead, my beautiful brother.
Well, how you doing today, friend?
Good, man, good. No complaints, man.
You know, you down there dealing with the equipment 10 every day, and you still don't have no media coverage.
That's right.
And that's a shame, that's a disgrace. And where are the media? Why do it have to be such a dark period? Why do everything got to be so excluded from the rest of the world?
Mm-hmm.
It seems as if there's a conspiracy, a plot, a scheme, just for it not to be known what's really taking place down here in a little place called Whipple-Lue, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
This case is the type of a case that'll resonate nationwide, and it have already.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here's black people that's struggling in a position, and that earned position done served a whole nother term, coming back being retried and retried and retried and retried again. It don't make no sense. None at all. Just a waste of taxpayers' dollars. The truth of the matter is, it's gonna be proven out these girls are right.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't did nothing wrong. You know, when I came down there and set up in the courtroom, it was people from the post office was taking mail home, sorting it out, all this kind of stuff. So, you know, why ain't they persecuted? It seemed like charges should be brought against them. All those whose hands was involved that wasn't directly involved with those ballots. And, you know, there's a lot you have to look at. It's a lot of things that's occurring that it's just abnormal. It's not normal. So that means something is wrong, Doc.
Mm-hmm.
Something's bad wrong. And it make you wonder, will there ever be any real true justice? You know? I believe that when it's all said and done, the dust settles, that the transition in the South is bound for change. And that's what we're basically going through now, is changing, transformation. And it's for the betterment for everybody. And when people get over it, and you know, America's got more problems than this, we don't have no reason to be struggling the way we're struggling here now over these type issues. And we having people being beheaded because there's an American. We got greater issues to cover. But they want to stop right here in Whipple. No news media, no newspaper. Keep this thing out of the air. Therefore, it won't be known, and injustice will be done, and it'll be covered up and moved on. Mm-hmm. You know, the news media don't have no interest in it. They have, believe me, don't let anybody fool you. They got an interest. Mm-hmm. Okay, they do have an interest. They don't want it revealed, and that's part of the great plotting scheme. You know. But other than that, man, that was just food for thought.
Well, we sure appreciate it, Doc. I'll be in the courtroom and I'll come out and try to get people to give an interview, and they won't do it. I've never seen such. Seemed like to me that people ought to tell what happened in the courtroom, so since they wouldn't tell it, I'm going to start telling it myself. I was hoping that, to me, it would have more power if the people that were actually in there would tell it, but I'm going to tell it. I want to report about Mr. John Boone taking information off of envelopes and giving it to a private investigator. And then the investigator was hired by the Brooks County school attorney. His name was Dick Mitchell. And then the lady that worked in the in and around the registrar took ballots home and worked on them at her house. And I haven't heard nobody taking any action against her. If that's a violation of the law, she should be punished too. It seemed like for the school attorney to hire an investigator to investigate the equipment 10+2 while he's on the board, on the school system payroll, seemed to me that that should be a conflict of interest too. Not to mention the fact that if the investigator, I'm not sure, but if he handled the ballots in any kind of way, then based upon what they did to Lula Smart, then something maybe should be done to him as well. Then Amy Braswell from the special agents of the G.B.R. said that she laid a tape recorder on the desk of Lula Smart while she was interviewing her, and it came out in court. Shaveen King said that he heard something on the tape recorder, like the tape recorder was either in a pocket or had scratching noises, like she did not lay it on the table. Lula Smart took the stand and said there was no tape recorder on the desk that she was sitting at when she was being interviewed by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. And that should arouse suspicion, and not to mention the fact that the form that the G.B.R. developed, she was the one that developed the form. She said that on the stand. And the form, well, I got it on YouTube and you ought to take a look at it. And then, rather than, as Shaveen King said, they ought to have a tape recorder, because tape recorder is more accurate than you writing down something for a person. And then people get on the stand and say what the G.B.R. agent wrote down was not what they said. Then they sign the form, and people get on the stand and say, I signed the form because I was ready for them to get their behind out of my house. Or I was ready for them to get off my property. And so I went on and signed it. But say, that is not what I said. And they wrote Lula Smart name in, wrote Diane Thomas name in. They did what they wanted. It's obvious of that. And I think that the judge believed that the jury is taking to heart all these inaccuracies that have been brought up on the stand. In fact, one lady say the school attorney, Dick Mitchell, was her. She said she didn't know him at first. Then later on, she said that was her attorney. First, she don't know him. Then that's her attorney. And I thought that they took an oath to tell the truth. And if that is a lie, then to me, something needs to be done about that. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a whole bunch of stuff. And then not to mention the fact that the prosecutor, Miss Breon, she took her tablet while she was had Lula Smart on the stand and talked to her in ways that I don't understand why the judge allowed her to talk to her that consistently with that tone of voice, and then threw her tablet and paperwork she had in her hand on the floor, and nothing was said about it until after the jury left out. I just don't understand it. It seemed like something is wrong. Then the prosecution sent an illiterate to testify, and they told him to raise his right hand, and he raised his left hand. And he raised it twice. And they asked him, could he read? They asked him, was he illiterate? He said no. Then again, I think he said yes. And everybody know him. He live in equipment. Everybody know the man. They know something wrong. Okay. And it was embarrassment. I almost left out the courtroom crying for them to put a man with those defects on the stand to testify when a person's career is on the line. These are professional people. Almost all of them got degrees and educators. Dr. Denner got a doctorate degree. Probably more qualified than anybody that took the stand in the courtroom. Wow. And yet and still, they're going to portray them as criminals, like they put them on the paper in the mug shots. With mug shots. Professional people who didn't do drugs, who didn't get off on the wrong exit in life. They took the straight path. They took the interstate to their destination. Diane Thomas, close to getting her doctorate degree. These are the kind of people that Governor Deal, Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, and District Attorney here in Lowndes County, David Miller, and Assistant Brad Shealy, along with the G.B.R. and the agents, and other entities, including the Secretary of State's office. The Secretary of State sent investigators down who was unqualified to investigate. These agents that came down from the Secretary of State's office, the Attorney King proved on the stand that they had not been trained. Some of them was educated, but they did not have any training in investigating voter fraud cases. Agent after agent said, this is the first case that I did. That's not their job. And so for all of this to go and not to be reported in the news, it seemed like to me that either Governor Deal, Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, or somebody who may have some influence with the news have given their orders that you better not recover this, better not report this. And tomorrow will be the 16th day. And not a single news media network, no newspaper, no radio or television have been there. And I believe good white right people ought to be outraged about that.
You know, it do sound like a plot of some form of conspiracy.
That's where the judge asked that question as well.
That's what it sounds like.
And he also brought up selective prosecution.
You know, because some of the people that's handling certain things without proper training is just like a monkey with a 45.
Yeah.
You know,
Somebody gonna get hurt.
somebody gonna get hurt, dog. You know,
And look at this, Doc. The John Boone in the post office, been working at the post office for 18 years. And he said he was never trained by the Postmaster General out of Macon or in Washington, D.C. on what the Privacy Act was. I worked Postal Service in the military. I worked in Postal Service. I went down to Biloxi, Mississippi to get my training. Biloxi, Mississippi, near the water, the ocean down there. I went down there and was trained, and there is no way possible that a person can get through the Postal Service 1 year, let alone 18 years, and not know nothing about Postal Service. One other thing. John Boone claimed that Miss Lula Smart dropped bundles of mail and took stamps and put them in the post office, right in the post office. Well, when Lula got on the stand the other day, she said that never happened. She said she didn't mail no mail there the post office like that. She said she never bought no stamps. So somebody is lying.
Well, since you mentioning that, the opening that the mail is delivered in is too small to drop a bundle in.
I know, that's right.
You know, these are kind of things that's just not matching up.
Well, Doc, is not matching up, and the people in the courtroom can barely even hold their composure. But when you watch the video, the first video that I put up following the second day of trial, the judge made it very clear that he didn't want no outbursts, no facial expressions, whether you could maybe persuade the jury. He said, don't do nothing like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I believe that somebody should have been there, other than myself, to record what is going on. Because for all of this information to be held in a transcript, you won't be able to get it until the transcript is released. And according to Shannon Watkins, with her 14-year-old girl, even the transcripts are altered.
Well, I'm asking this. Why is it that black news is no news?
You got that right. I can't answer that, brother, except they know Jesus. And Jesus said, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set and make you free.
You know.
And because they know that, they don't want you free, and so they want to make sure that you don't get the truth. That's the only way I can figure.
Black news is no news unless they make the headlines from murder,
Or robbing a bank.
robbing a bank, or something
Yes,
like
sir.
that. But something like this, there's no emphasis put on it. And that's disgraceful. That's a shame before God. You know, it's bad.
Well, Doc, this is why I say it, and I'm going to continue to say it until maybe they do better. I personally is considering that we came to these shores in the year 1555 aboard a slave ship called Jesus, captained by one Sir John Hawkins, a European slave trader. And when I make that statement, it can be backed up in the Library of Congress. I'm not guessing. I know what I'm talking about. I also know, Doc, before 1555, blacks were already in America. Christopher Columbus wrote about blacks being in America when he got here. The word admiral came from the black African sea rovers who was traveling from Africa to North America way before any 1555. We was the masters of the high sea. And they thought they had changed all the historic archival records. But they are in for a rude awakening, because our ancestors didn't write nothing down for the most part on paper, and they didn't put it in a computer. They wrote it on stone in and around the pyramids and in other places in the continent of Africa and on other places of historic value. And now we are deciphering what the European went in and, well, they destroyed it, they covered up, and they took what they wanted and altered everything else. But the truth, as Jesus said, the truth gonna come out, and that's what is happening now.
I believe it. 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 It's got to come out. You know, we learned from what they taught us, their system, and we knew no more than what we learned. And then when we come to things that's shockingly surprising, you know, some of us find it hard to accept. But to know that you're lost. Take my name, for example, Robinson, okay? All right? We know that was a slave master's name. You know, it's simple as that. And we portraying a false illusion of life. And it's something that was beat into us that became some form of a trait. And it's a lack of unification, where we won't automatically cater to one another, where we are separated, and in other words, we can only come together when someone get killed brutally on the street. And then we come together in a violent manner to that degree. Okay? And we have the power to change that. But we can no longer believe, I hate to say this like this, what we were taught about. Okay? You got to accept the fact that you've been taught a lie. Okay? And believe from your heart of heart that you've been taught a lie. Because the truth wasn't pertaining to you. Everything that you was taught to was to betray you, or you learned to betray yourself. Okay? In other words, you were being taught to deny yourself. So in order for you to deny yourself the privileges, a man come and tell you, say, you know, maybe you want to start a business. And they say, no, I wouldn't go into that business because, I wouldn't go into this because, okay? We don't have no financial institutions, we don't have anything. And then when it comes to somebody like those ladies down there fighting for their civil rights, trying to make it through a system that they rejected from, and then you come to find that there's nothing there either, okay? That they got to go through trial after trial after trial after trial. And it's because we've been taught a lie. And then some of us want to accept, want to believe the lie, okay, to the degree that they don't do nothing for themselves and they stay dependent, okay? Indirectly dependent upon master. I know that sounds a little far, but this is what the system is.
Yes, sir.
That's what the system done produced. That's what the system done did. We don't have, we just don't have, we economically crushed, man. And people need to wake up to those fighters. And then when you see people down there trying, that these people are trying, you don't need to be bothering with these folks, man. These people don't need to be going through all of that. They're going through enough as it is. It's bad out here, dog. Okay? My brother go dress up like this, okay? Put his towel, and then finally he overqualified. It's a lady I know right now working as a janitor at the hospital, okay? Got her master's degree in business. Got a master's degree in business, though. working as a janitor.
Mm.
Now, she got to do that to make ends meet until she can get something. But everywhere she goes, she's overqualified. No?
Mm.
Now, who got to answer for that?
What that term, Doc, that you use, you don't use it much now like you used to. They don't have the what for the what?
They don't have the complexion for the protection, Doc.
Yes, sir.
That's what the deal is.
What is that protection?
See, the society says when you white, you right, and when you black, you get back.
All right, okay.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
That's how society did it, Doc.
The sad thing about it is my grandmama told me about these days, and I thought we made progress. Representative Tyrone Brooks said last week on the courthouse grounds in Quitman that the Reverend Joseph Lyra, who's 93 years old, say we as a people in America have made major strides in progress. And he's saying everything is the same.
Doc, look, I got a book in there that's over 100 years old.
Yes, sir.
Called The Progression of a Race. Okay? And Advancement of Colored People is what's on the book.
Yes, sir.
Written by Booker T. Washington and a couple more guys. Now, reading that book, we was further ahead then we is now.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Now, going through some of the same, they were going through some of the same problems that we're going through today. Why is it so repetitive that, you know, even though you got a black president, this thing is so embedded, it don't even make a difference, no?
That's right.
That's how embedded it is. Now,
In fact, it's worse. And I mean worse in the regard, they won't let him do nothing.
You're right.
He got to fight, just go to the bathroom. Some kids be too late, might be on wet on himself.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's the game they play.
It's a game, dog.
You know, we had 43 other all-white male presidents.
That's right.
They ain't go through what this man going through.
No, man. No.
And this man haven't taken away nobody's rights.
That's right.
He ain't slaved nobody.
That's right.
He didn't label nobody 3/5 of a human being. He didn't deny you the right to have a family and take your children to a plantation and then can't get them back. He didn't do none of these things.
You know, Rhynes, I sit here and by sitting on death row, okay, I just had a friend call me up yesterday and told me, say, you know, it's back. I said, what's back? He said, my camera.
Hold on just a minute, brother. Hold on just a minute. Part 2.